Bowman is the name on J.D. Vance's birth certificate. His mother changed his name when she remarried and didn't just change his last name, she changed his middle name to David. He then went through life as James David Hamill. Went to college under that name, went to law school under that name. Before he got married, he changed his last name to Vance, which is his grandmother's last name. Using the initials JD just might be his way of eliminating his own personal confusion over whether his name should be James Donald or James David, and James David Vance's name changes could be an enlightening experience for him. Perhaps J.D. Vance has insights earned the hard way about kids struggling with their identities. J.D. Vance's history of name changes could mean that he is now someone who really knows who he is, because, unlike most of us, he actually named himself in his final name change. Or perhaps his 3 different names over time have created a discomfort in him, a discomfort with himself that sometimes could leave him disconnected from other people. And if that's the case, that means that the Republican candidate for president and the Republican candidate for vice president are both, in the most important possible ways for politicians, disconnected from people, especially people who they have never met. Good politicians have to spend their lives thinking about the lives of people they don't know and what they might be able to do to turn government in a direction that will help the lives of people they don't know. And that is why what happened to J.D. Vance recently, when he walked into a donut shop, is just so weird and interesting. J.D. Vance did that standard politician performance to show everyone what a regular guy he is, but the only thing he could think of to say to the people who worked there was the question of, how long have you worked here? That was it. And when they told him 2 years or 6 months, he would just say, okay. That was it. That was his entire interaction. It was widely reviewed as a failure to demonstrate that James David Vance is a regular guy. He just had no idea what to say to those working people, no idea at all. He had no curiosity about how many jobs they might be working. He had no curiosity about whether they're making the minimum wage, as is common in places like that. There is no evidence that J.D. Vance knows what the minimum wage is. And it could not have been more clear that no one in that donut shop cared who J.D. Vance is or had any curiosity about him. It just wasn't a human exchange. Donald Trump, who you know cares nothing about anyone working in a donut shop anywhere on the planet, would have done slightly better than J.D. Vance in that donut shop, because he would have kept his stupid bluster flowing at least and filled up the dead air with some nonsense language. Tim Walz is right. They're weird. Weird in the sense that they are not in any way like other people. Donald Trump and James David Vance are not anything like the voters they are appealing to. Keep that in mind now when we show you what Tim Walz and Kamala Harris did and said today. And know that neither of the men on the Republican ticket could possibly appeal to people and identify with people the way Tim Walz and Kamala Harris can wherever they go. We begin with Vice Presidential candidate Tim Walz in Boston this morning, speaking to the convention of the International Association of Firefighters.
I'm going to say this because I know we're bipartisan. Some of the gray hairs in here, I know what you're thinking, and I remember it too because it's my family. When Republicans used to talk about freedom, they meant it. They meant it. Not anymore. These guys over there, they want government to have the freedom to invade every corner of your life, from our union halls to our kids' schools, even our doctor's office. Vice President and I, we got a little bit different vision of this. We believe that you, not politicians, should be made free to make your own health care choices. We believe that workers deserve to collectively bargain for fair wages, safe working conditions, good health care, and secure retirement. No interference from government.
I learned from Tim Walz's speech to the firefighters today that the Vice President of the United States is related to a firefighter. Donald Trump is not related to anyone who has ever done work like that, fighting fires.
I'm honored to be on a ticket with someone else who has long supported your essential work. As a native Californian, Vice President Harris knows explosive, dangerous, and unpredictable nature of wildfires in that state. She's been to the memorials, knows the depth of sacrifice that you and your families go through. In fact, it's a matter of family for her. The Vice President's brother-in-law, Andy Emhoff, spent his career as a firefighter in Santa Cruz, California, and retired as an IAFF member in good standing. And
the Harris-Walz campaign released a new TV ad about Donald Trump's Project 2025 agenda today. The campaign is running the new ad about Project 2025 across battleground states and in the television market in Florida, where Donald Trump lives, so that he can see it every day between now and Election Day.
Donald Trump's back, and he's out for control.
I would have every right to go after them.
Complete control.
I will wield that power very aggressively.
And he has a plan to get it.
Detailed plans for exactly what our movement will do.
It's called Project 2025, a 922-page blueprint to make Donald Trump the most powerful president ever. Overhauling the Department of Justice, giving Trump the unchecked power to seek vengeance, eliminating the Department of Education, and defunding K-12 schools, requiring the government to monitor women's pregnancies, and severe cuts to Medicare and Social Security. Donald Trump may try to deny it, but those are Donald Trump's plans.
Well, revenge does take time, I will say that. And sometimes revenge can be justified.
He'll take control. We'll pay the price.
I'm Kamala Harris, and I approve this message.
After his speech to the firefighters in Boston today, Tim Walz met Vice President Harris in Georgia to begin a bus tour of that state, where a recent Fox poll shows Kamala Harris running ahead of Donald Trump now, 50-48. Vice President Harris and Governor Walz were greeted by students of Savannah State University, Georgia's oldest historically black college and university. Kamala Harris and Tim Walz then visited Liberty County High School in Hinesville, Georgia, where they listened to the school's marching band's rehearsal. Now, you're about to listen to Tim Walz talking to high school students. And just imagine J.D. Vance or Donald Trump trying to talk to high school students. When you listen to Kamala Harris talking to high school students in a moment about discipline and teamwork and great leadership, imagine J.D. Vance or Donald Trump trying to talk to high school students about those things. You'll hear Kamala Harris talking to a high school band, telling them about her experience being in the band in high school. The only gap between Tim Walz and Kamala Harris and those students is an age gap. It's not a humanity gap. They understand each other. Yes, there are gigantic policy differences between the presidential candidates, but you don't have to know anything about governing policy to see the giant humanity difference, the humanity gap between Donald Trump, J.D. Vance, and Kamala Harris and Tim Walz.
Thank you for that. To the staff that's here, my previous job to this was, of course, public school teacher and coach, which I wear with pride. To all of you, thank you. Thanks for having us in your school, and thanks to all the teams that are here. I think you kind of embody this idea, and the Vice President talks a lot about it. Each of our individual talents, what we can contribute, but something bigger than ourselves when you get together. Your single instrument alone is an amazing thing. But as part of this band, it becomes really amazing. And then to see a school community, each and every one of these teams, I said I coach football a lot, but all of this is part of doing something bigger. And I think having us in here, stressing why the Vice President says it often, that education is the key to the middle class, a pathway to the middle class, and it shouldn't be burdening you with debt. to give you an opportunity to get there. So I think when we can get into a public school like this, we're able to see you and tell you. It's not just the teachers here to tell you. They know they do this work. It's not a cliche. This is truly about building towards the future, and you're that future. And so we're in a room like this. It lifts everybody's spirits, it lifts the country's spirits. And Vice President talks about that often, about the positive and the joyful work that we can do and the things that we're trying to make sure happen. So I'm just grateful that you'd have us here. I'm grateful to be part of a team with a really great head coach here in your next President of the United States, Kamala Harris.
So, you know, I've been hearing about you incredible young leaders for quite some time, from the players to those who are bringing joy to everybody in the stands, to the music that you guys are creating. And so we wanted to come by just to let you know that our country is counting on you, all of you. You are leaders. By the very fact that you all are here in this room, doing what you do at this incredible school, doing it as one big team, understanding all of the different parts that fit together to create a team. You are doing some of the best work any leader can do. And we're so proud of you, and we're counting on you. Your generation, all that you guys stand for, everything you have at stake, is what is going to propel our country into the next era of what we can do and what we can be. And I want to say to you that you must always lead as you have chosen to lead, understanding you don't have to ask anybody's permission to lead. And I think you all have figured that out. You've decided to be a leader. And in doing that, you are also role models, right? Welcome to the Role Model Club. And being a role model, right, means that they're going to be members of your family, people who live in your neighborhood, your classmates who watch you, to see, oh, that's how it's done. And in that way, you are showing what hard work can achieve, what discipline can achieve, what teamwork can achieve. And that's the stuff of great leadership, all of you. And so we wanted to come by to remind you that our nation is counting on you. We're so proud of you and everything you have achieved. And I will tell you, I was in band when I was your age. So I know a little bit about, your coach knows about the players, right? And all that you all are doing, it requires a whole lot of rehearsal, a whole lot of practice, long hours, right? Sometimes you hit the note, sometimes you don't, right? But all that practice makes for beautiful music. And that is a metaphor, that is symbolic for everything that you all will do in your lives, which is you're going to show what a winning team looks like. You're going to show what it means to put yourself out on the field, to put yourself in front of people, to have the confidence to do it. Sometimes you're going to hit the step right. Sometimes you're not. Sometimes you're going to win the game. Sometimes you may not. But you know, you never let any circumstance knock you down or slow you down. You just keep going at it. That's who you are. And that's why we are so confident in everything that you are doing and will continue to do for our country. So just keep being you and all of the excellence that you're bringing to everything you do. Okay? All right.